Renowned South African singer Jimmy Nevis has teamed up with the local film company Mad Little Badger to produce a documentary on the Luxurama Theatre, which is an iconic multi-racial speakeasy venue that launched the music and acting careers of many local artists for more than 40 years. For more on this collaboration, we are now joined by founder and director of Mad Little Badger, Nicki Priem. Mr. Priem, thank you for your time and for joining us on our program this afternoon. The documentary is promising to be a nostalgic trip down memory lane, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here and to be able to speak about the project a little bit. So thanks for having me.
And perhaps speak to us just what we can expect from this entire documentary. It will be the meeting of the old and the very new school.
100%. So I think not just for the Luxurama, but I'm sure with many institutions like the Luxurama, we tend to forget about these things, and I think it's important to tell these stories, but I think it's important to tell them in the right way as well. So that was our thinking in partnering with Jimmy. When I approached him, he was extremely excited about it. And initially, I mean, he knew a little bit about the venue, but not as much as we did. So my wife grew up for the first 25 years of her life. She spent there because her mother worked for the Luxurama Theatre. So it's a story that's very close to her heart, and I've been privileged enough to share some of that with her. And in shedding light on the Luxurama to Jimmy Nevis was, I think, very inspirational to him. So he's taken that on board, and I think his voice, combined with the older voices, so the potential of him to collaborate with older artists and then put some music into the world is, yeah, it's quite a mouth-watering proposition. And then just for us to tell this really important story, because I think what we've done is, like the Luxurama, places like the Luxurama were incredibly important in getting us through the difficult times of apartheid. But then as soon as we got through apartheid in '94, that's when this beautiful venue started to decline. Because we sort of turned our backs on it. So the story is it's super inspirational, it's very nostalgic, but it's bittersweet. It's definitely a tragedy as well because of what we let happen to it. So, yeah, but it's an important story to tell, and I'm sure there are many more like this stories like this in South Africa, and we just feel privileged to be part of telling this one.
Well, looking at the much younger audience who might not necessarily understand the history thereof of the institution, how would you describe it?
What, the Luxurama?
Correct, yes.
It is just such an important place to the community. I mean, if you think about it, so here's this location that would have fundraisers for local schools. Right, so your local schools, your creche or your sports club would come and have a fundraising event there. But then you had massive artists like Engelbert Humperdinck and Eartha Kitt and Connie Francis and Dusty Springfield, and all of those international artists, but then a whole lot of local artists performing on the same stage. So it was a strange place in that it was very ingrained in the local communities, but because of the world-class nature of the venue, because it had the rotating stage and it seated 1,144 people, it attracted really big acts as well. So that's what made the place really unique. You know, I mean, I remember going there in high school on a couple of fundraisers with my school, which was really cool. But then, like I say, the fact that we had these major international acts performing in that location was also really special. And then also, I think just the South African performers who performed there, they used it as a stepping stone or a launching point for their careers. So, and a lot of them went on to perform internationally to great acclaim and perform with big international acts. So it's just a great place steeped in a lot of history.
Yeah, you're mentioning that, it's still, proposes the advantage for many young actors and actresses and people who are interested very much into the arts to help them launch their careers. Perhaps speak to us more about the names that have come out of that.
So we have, Emo Adams performed there, his brother Lukman, Alistair Isabel, the Rockets, the Flames performed there. The Flames, what's his name? Blondie went on to be the drummer for the Rolling Stones and for the Beach Boys, So these guys have done like incredibly like amazing things. I know the Rockets when they were younger. They traveled overseas as teenagers because they won a competition at the Luxurama. So as teenagers, like a couple of colored boys going over to London, 14 and 15-year-olds, that's unheard of, and it was really, it was a fantastic time. And then the level of talent as well that came through there. Like, I think, the thing that made it so important was that all these talented musicians were in District 6 at the time, and then with the forced removals, they were scattered all over Cape Town. And then the Luxurama kind of gave us that central place again for people to be reunited and to perform together. And the cool thing about the Lux was that it was like a bane to the existence of apartheid, because people of all races used to perform there, people of all races used to attend as well. And there's a really interesting story about Percy Sledge, who was granted like honorary or temporary white status when he came to South Africa, so he could actually stay in the fancy hotels and things like that, which is I find it hilarious, but also extremely, it's disturbing, but it's also hilarious. But he performed there as well, to a multiracial audience, but the government granted him temporary white status while he was here in South Africa. So, there's a lot that went on there, and there's a lot of stories that we need to tell. And we are running out of time because we are losing artists. They are getting older, they are dying. If you're thinking a lot of them performed in the 60s and 70s, then they are in their 60s and 70s right now. So we need to act quickly, and we need to raise the funds quickly, so that we can make this film.
Well, Nicki, thank you so much for your time and for joining us on our program this afternoon. We do wish you all the best, of course, with that production. Well, when